Hello there, it's Paul here and welcome everyone. So this video is carrying on from the last one where I did the vase in a vase, and I've gone for this vase. So it's concentrating on the colouring but at the same time trying to still show off that it's a wooden piece, and I'll have a chat at the end of the video. In the last video I did that bud vase inside a vase by cutting out all the slots. This time I'm going to do another project that I've done before but I haven't videoed. It's a similar lines as the vase in the vase, but we've also got some colouring on it, and it isn't really so much a vase in a vase, so it's more to highlight the wood, especially if you're using colouring. This project works really well if you've got a light coloured piece of wood. On the lathe here I've got this chunk which doesn't look like it's got any splits in it at the moment. Obviously that may well change when I turn it down a bit. You can see it's a very odd shape, and I could potentially just cut the corners off on the bandsaw, but I'm just going to rough this out just to see how it goes. So I'm starting this between centres. I want to get a tenon on the end so that I can get it in the chuck. I will then make the normal shape vase, probably similar to the last one I did. It's going to be coloured, hollowed out, and to highlight really the wood from the outside, because it's going to be coloured, as I'm going to use a similar sort of process of cutting those slots in. This time though I will probably use my smaller thin parting tool, because I just want to get those lines of really the light coloured wood coming through the colour. This is a piece of beech as far as I'm aware, and there are actually traces of a small amount of spalting in here. The reason I put a tenon on this end was because I've got a knot in here. So my next job here is to first of all just true up this end, and I'll just use the knife cut with a skew. That way I can just check that I've got a nice clean surface on the end and that there's no cracks there. Then I'm going to do the shape. Probably very similar to the last vase. I'm going to do it so that it's sort of more or less that sort of size, and again same shape as I did with the last one, with the wider part in the centre, narrowing down a little bit at the bottom and at the top. You can do any shape you like here, and because the whole process really works very, very similar. I've got the outside shape as I want, not too bothered about sanding this up yet and doing the colouring. I want to hollow out the inside next, and just going to use a 16mm drill bit here, and it's literally the entire length right the way up to the chuck there. I've sanded the whole piece up to 600 grit, and when you're applying colour to anything, you really have to make sure you get out any tool marks and sanding marks, because the colour will actually highlight any marks you've got in the wood. And which brings me to the problem I've got, is that I've actually got two fine cracks on here. There's one there, and there's another one running up there. They don't go all the way through as far as I'm aware. But because I'm applying colour, I can't put any CA or anything on it at the moment, because otherwise it will stop the wood from being coloured. So it's going to probably highlight these, but I'm hoping that when I cut the grooves in here, that it will disguise a lot of that. You can use any type of colouring you want, wood stain, anything. I'm just using the chestnut spirit stains. Last time I did one of these, I think I did it in a blue. I'm not sure whether I used the spirit stains or my water-based ones, but I was really pleased with it, and I thought I'll do something different this time and actually go with a red. It's really looking for something in contrast with the wood, so because once you cut the grooves out, you're going to get this colour wood come out, so that's why a light wood is really good with especially like a bright or a dark colour. So I'm just going to probably try and put this on with the lathe spinning slow. I'm going to build this up so that it's actually a fairly deep red. So hopefully you can see now where the two cracks are. Really highlight them. And spinning the lathe up has obviously helped get the colour on a lot quicker, but it's best to then go over manually afterwards like this to take out any extra marks where the colour has created darker patches, because it may not have gone on so even. I'm trying not to get it on the top, because again that adds another focal point for the natural wood colour. So I'm just going to let that dry off a little bit, and I'm going to probably give that one or two more coats to try and darken up a little bit. I'm going to use my thin parting tool for cutting all the grooves on here. This is only just about 2mm wide, so it's quite thin. And I've just set some calipers up here at about 6mm, so I'm going to try and put some lines on here every 6mm. Hopefully they sharpen the camera fairly well, rather than having to put pencil lines on as well. And I'm just going to cut enough in there to hopefully just reveal the wood. that's it. I've got one or two lines there slightly thicker, where obviously not just cut that right, but hopefully you can see now the effect. And if I can just find those cracks, there's a crack there and a crack there, because of the white lines, the bright white lines going through there, they don't show up so much. Next job will be to give this a coat of sanding sealer, and I'm just going to use the cellulose sanding sealer from Chestnut. I need a spray one so that I don't get all the colour bleed. So I'm just going to let that settle, and I mean, sanding sealer on there has just really brought the colour out so much better. And I'll knock that back with a knife web when that's done, and I will then apply a clear gloss spray lacquer as well. I've got to say, really pleased the way this one's come out in the red. I did mention earlier in the video that I did one of these probably about 18 months ago, and it was a blue. If I've got a picture, I will put it up, but it should be somewhere on my social media from about 18 months ago. And the whole idea of this piece is to show that you can do colouring on a piece but still show really all the natural wood in there. So hopefully you can see, I mean, also with the bright colours, the red, and especially with the light wood, which works really well, it just got such a good contrast on there. I just think it sort of like pops and stands out a lot better. It's a little bit annoying on this piece because I do have a couple of cracks in there, which to be honest aren't too visible because of all the cuts of the lines that I've done back into the wood. You can certainly do this in multiple colours. And as you've seen in the video there, it's just build up that colour first of all before you then put the grooves in. Just use these calipers to mark off my lines on here, and I think what I did where I've got a couple on here where the lines are not perfectly identical, because I think I probably just squeezed them in a little bit. So some form of fixed calipers might be a little better, or just be a little bit careful if you're going to be using calipers like this. At the same time as well, if your calipers do have quite a point on them, make sure they are pointing down on the work as well, so that they don't actually catch and dig in, because you don't want to be pointing them up as they're spinning around on the lathe. The reason why I used the spray sanding sealer and the spray lacquer to finish with was to make sure there's less chance of any colour run on there. Hopefully this has given you another different idea on something you can do, especially if you like to do a little bit of colouring and come up with something totally different. Thanks a lot for watching.